Set up. I'm setting up my YouTube. About to set up Insight Timer. First of all, let me start this off by saying thank you to everybody who supported thus far. Everybody who bought a copy of this book. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. And there's much more to come. I'm gonna start teaching more meditation classes. I'm gonna start reaching out to people in the community. We're taking this mindfulness and meditation to the next level simply because the community needs it. We need to start looking within. We need to start building up ourselves within. And so we're taking it to a whole new level. So I appreciate everybody who's supporting me while I'm doing what I'm doing. Thank you for supporting the book. Shout out to Proven Publishing, the company I went to self-publish this book. Shout out to Seen and Heard. Shout out to Supreme Understanding, who connected me to Proven Publishing. Shout out to the illustrator of the book, the amazing Marlon Blackwood. Shout out to him. Artifacts Gallery, brilliant brother from Connecticut, my home state. Shout out to everybody who's showing me love. We appreciate it. Now we're about to begin in a few minutes our live stream for the night. But I had to begin by saying thank you to everybody. Peace and blessings to all y'all. We're about to get started on Insight Timer. Give me 1 second. All right. Our live stream is starting. So we live on 3 channels. Live on Insight Timer, Instagram, live on YouTube. I'm gonna start using OBS and start going live on some other platforms too. So if you can't find my YouTube page or whatever, you'll click on me. Relaxing, peace and blessings. What's going on? How are you doing, Riley? How you doing, Melanie? What's up? I see people rolling in for Insight Timer. That's excellent. That's beautiful. Glad to have y'all here with me. Glad that you guys stayed up a little late with me. Let me know where you guys are from. I'm in Maryland right now. Maryland, it's 11:11. Let me know where you are. Let me know what you up to. How was y'all day? Arizona? Okay. Hopefully everybody had a real good day. Hopefully everybody feels amazing and feel blessed. Philly, what's going on, Philly? Philly. That's an old song I used to listen to. Old hip hop song by Eve off Eve's first album. TJ, Minnesota, what's up? South Texas, okay. Idaho. Okay, so we got a good mix. We got people from all over the place. I'm excited. I'm glad y'all came. Glad y'all hanging out with me. We're gonna get started. We usually start, for those who might be here for the first time. You met Eve at the Rough Riders concert? She always seemed like she was real down to earth. How was she when you met her? Rita, what's going on? She was so nice. Yeah, she always seemed like she was a sweetheart. You glad you're still awake? I'm glad you're still awake too. I almost didn't make it. I had to drink some coffee, which means I probably won't be able to sleep when I'm done. But it's all good. I found something kind of cool. I found a app where you can actually it's called, well, I can't say the name of the app, but it's an app where you can literally make music on your phone. So somebody will send me some music and I can actually make I can come up with lyrics and melodies and stuff on the phone. It's actually pretty cool. I feel excited about that. Like my creative juices are flowing. So what I've been working on some meditation songs, but they're like hip hop songs, but they're about freeing the mind and tapping into the inner God energy within yourself. So when I get one I think is good enough and sounds good enough, I get the sound just right, I want to upload it to Insight Timer. But I gotta get the sound right. Yeah, Riley, it's fun. I used to make hip hop music pretty consistently when I was younger. Of course, I got older and chubby, so I can't do it no more. But I still like to do it. I still like to compose. I still like write lyrics every now and again. And yeah, when I get a song that where the sound is clear enough, I might have to go to a studio for that. But I can definitely put some ideas down. Jasmine, hello from where? New Zealand. Okay, cool. Yeah, Rita. Yeah, me and you both. I actually bought some equipment and I haven't even using it. Olivia from Australia. Do they call push-ups press ups in Australia? My sons watch this show called Bluey, and I think the characters are from Australia, and they say press ups and not push ups. California, what's up? California Dreaming, one of my favorite songs. Listen to the Mamas and the Papas did California Dreaming. Listen to Eddie Hazel's version. You can go to YouTube and look up Eddie Hazel California Dreaming. It's amazing. Oh, okay, gotcha, Olivia. Yeah, my sons watch that show and they keep saying let's do some press ups and they get on the floor and do push ups and I'm like it's push ups. What are you talking about? Rosanna, hi. Where am I? I'm in Maryland. I'm in Maryland in the U.S. Yeah, Bluey is I love that show. I can't even lie. My kids pick some good shows. That's one of the shows that I actually like will watch even if they're not there sometimes. They had this one show they used to always watch called Craig of the Creek, and I had watched it with them a couple of times, and I fell in love with the show. They got sick of it. I kept watching it. I watched like every season. I thought it was so cool. All right, we're at the 5 minute mark. We'll start at the 7 minute mark, and then when we're 7 minutes in, we'll begin. Hopefully, you guys have had a good week thus far. You hate that? Hopefully, everybody had a good week thus far. It's Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Thursday, Throwback Thursday. So, on your social media, throw a picture of how you used to look when you were younger. Yeah, a lot of those shows are very well written. Bluey is a show I think is very well written and imaginative. As an adult, I think I appreciated one of my kids. Oh, okay. Hey, Raider, what's up? What's going on? You haven't seen me in a long time? Yeah, I know. When was it? I think the last one I did one in March, and then I took some time off because I moved and had to make a whole lot of changes in my life, and then I started doing it again. I think like 2 months ago. So I think I started again in late June or July or something like that. Something like that. So yeah, I've been doing it again for a little while. I'm glad you're here. It's been a while. A lot of the old gang I don't see no more. I don't see favorite diva no more. And it's a bunch of other people. Michelle, I saw Michelle pop up a couple of times on some of my later live streams. You, Olivia, I'm glad. I think a lot of us need that. What's going on, Tribal Chief Los? Peace, peace, peace. Peace, my brother. Peace and blessings, man. All right, we're getting close to the 7 minute mark. Let me take a sip of water. We're gonna get started. Let me make sure my microphone is working. All right. Okay, yeah, I sound loud and clear. Ah, I sound beautiful. All right, so let's begin. So tonight we're gonna discuss protecting your inner child. And there was something that made me think of this topic. And it was when I speak to my sons, I try to be as encouraging as possible. And I remember a couple weeks ago, me and my sons, we were at the pool. It was a real hot day with some mathematics. What is today's math? I don't even know the date. I have no idea what the date is. That's crazy. But anyway, yeah, I was at the pool with my son. It was a hot day, and my younger son was real gung ho. So we're in the shallow end of the pool. My younger son stands by the edge of the pool. He just does a cannonball, jumps right on in. He don't care. He's having the ball, and I'm encouraging my oldest son to hop in. But my oldest son is a little bit more reserved sometimes. He's adventurous, but that particular day he was a little bit more reserved and was a little anxious about just jumping right in. So I told him, I said, I want you to say this. I want you to repeat after me. I said, I want you to say, I am stronger than fear. So he said, I'm stronger than fear. And then he jumped off the edge of the pool into the water, splashed, had fun, had a ball. Then he got out again and went to jump into the pool again. The second time around, he was still a little nervous. And I heard him say under his breath, I'm stronger than fear. And then he jumped into the water. And then I've noticed since then, every single time, he's in a situation where he feels a little anxious, he'll say to himself, I'm stronger than fear. And I think that's such a cool thing that I was able to give my kids something that empowered them and made them feel really, really strong and beautiful. And that got me thinking about my own life and some of the negativity I heard from people around me. And I remember in particular, I was dealing with some stuff and I was going through some personal things. And I remember I would doubt myself a lot. And one day I realized I was doubting myself in my inner dialogue, but I'm doubting myself in my inner dialogue and I hear somebody else's voice in my mind. The negative comments that I'm making are coming from the other person. The other person is not even there, but because the other person said so many negative things to me and there was so much criticism that I would hear that voice. Whenever there was self-doubt, it was that voice saying things to me in my mind. Whenever I questioned myself, it was that voice saying things to me in my mind. Whenever I held back from going all out and going all the way in, it was that person's voice in my mind. So that made me realize that I wasn't doing what I had to do to protect my inner child because that person's voice had become my own thought process. I heard that negativity so much and internalized it so much that I began to think those thoughts. Those thoughts of you're not good enough. Those thoughts of this isn't good enough. Those thoughts of you made another mistake. Those thoughts of why can't you get this right? Those thoughts of I'm disappointed in you. And it wasn't even my voice. I had internalized somebody else's voice so much so that my inner dialogue was their normal conversation. I had stopped thinking for myself because their negativity had become my self-perception. And I was just amazed. And I realized that it was important for us to learn how to protect and defend our inner child. Throughout our entire lives, we hear so much negativity. And when individuals see that you are struggling with your confidence, when they see that you're struggling to feel strong, when they see that you doubt yourself, when they see that you hesitate, individuals will become predatory. Even sometimes individuals who don't mean to be will become predatory in how they approach you and how they deal with you simply because a shark can smell blood and water. Animals can sense weakness. That's a Nas lyric, by the way. He said he said animals sense weakness, sharks smell blood and water. Moses, Ishmael, and Job move in divine order. But that's how we are. People can sense our weakness, and so they attack us. Consciously or unconsciously, people want to destroy individuals around them who they see as weak. So when they find your weakness, some people will come at it and not encourage you and not empower you. And imagine as an adult this happens, right? But imagine when you're a child. Imagine when you're a little kid and you're constantly hearing somebody older than you telling you you couldn't sleep because of anxiety and doubt. Oh, you know it was meant to be. I know it was meant to be too. I know it was meant to be. Whenever I get these ideas for these sessions, I'll always listen to them and just go with it. That's why if you look at my notes, hardly any research was done because something said I know people need this. So it's all coming from the ancestors. It's not even me talking right now. But like I was saying, imagine when you're a child and you're a young one and you have adults in your life who have failed. Adults in your life who have dropped the ball, adults who question themselves and doubt themselves, adults whose inner children are crying for help, and then they attack you. Hurt people. So you got other people's energy and attitude stuck to you. They're following you around when you're a child. Imagine when you're 4 or 5 years old, somebody yelling at you, screaming at you, telling you you're not good enough. What are you doing? And I've seen it. Recently, I was at the park and there was some woman standing there just swearing at her daughter. I mean, like she was cursing her daughter out like her daughter was the worst enemy, calling her daughter out her name, like really just talking savagely to this little girl. And I almost cried. Just looking at it, I almost cried. I had my 2 sons with me, and when we got to the car, I gave my sons a hug. They was like, "Why are you hugging me? Get off me, Daddy! I'm not a baby no more." I'm like, "Man, I just gotta give you a hug. When you grow up, I just want you to know Daddy loves you no matter what." Because I don't want them to grow up with that inner voice crying for help. And I don't want them to grow up and hurt other people. I don't want them to grow up and become people who hurt other people because they got hurt as children. And that's what a lot of us are dealing with. A lot of us have had individuals older than us who are supposed to protect us from mental harm, from spiritual harm, from emotional harm, and they didn't do it. Some of the people who were supposed to love us the most attacked us and hurt us the most. And so your inner child is crying. And then you grow up and you become a wounded adult. And when you become a wounded adult, the world is not sympathetic sometimes. And so quite often you find yourself alone with these thoughts in your head. I believe that a lot of the stuff that's in the spiritual texts that are written they have a literal meaning, but then there's an esoteric spiritual meaning. And so when you read like the Bible and it talks about demon possession, I think that's what possession is. I think demon possession means when somebody who's a monster in your life says harsh, evil, mean things to you when you're a child, and then their thoughts become your thoughts. So when you're about to do something, you put on a shirt, and then a little voice in the back of your head says, "You got fat." That's somebody else that's literally taking possession of your mind. That's a demon taking possession of your thoughts. When you try something and then somebody says, "Hey, you're going to fail. I don't even know why you're bothering." But then you got to stop it. And this is what I want you to do. This is the first step of trying to protect your inner child. Ask yourself, whose voice am I hearing? Whose voice is that? Because quite often those negative thoughts will strike and hit us, right? But if you think a negative thought in your own mind, quite often you can process it and keep moving. Quite often you can. But sometimes when the thought hits so hard and you feel like you can't even function, or sometimes you feel like you're about to cry, that's usually somebody else's voice in your mind. And identifying who the person is who hurts you is a very important step to protecting your inner child. A, so you won't go back to that person, and you can sever ties if necessary. Or B, you can help redeem that person by giving them the love that they never got. Or C, when you're around that person, you can protect yourself before you even go in their presence. And quite often what happens is it's somebody else. Think back on it. Think back to an instance, if you can recall one. Yes, that's right, Naomi. You can break the cycle. Now think back for a second to an instance in your life where you had a negative thought that was so powerful. You felt your stomach get tense. You felt your heartbeat start to race. You started to feel like you couldn't concentrate. Think about that for a second. And I'm not trying to trigger anybody, but think back on it and ask yourself, when that voice in your mind started to say, you can't, you won't, you're not good enough. When you hear that voice saying those, whose voice is that? That's very important, because that's a very important step in identifying who hurt you and how to move forward. It's very important to understand who hurt you, because you might have to understand their reasons. And maybe providing them with a little bit of sympathy can help you to heal a little bit. And I'm not big on forgiveness. I admit that's one of my flaws. One of the major steps of spirituality is forgiveness. I have a hard time forgiving. I'd rather forget than forgive. But one thing I realize is that, for years I've been hearing people say forgiveness is not for the person who hurt you. Forgiveness is for you. And I had a hard time understanding what that meant. That made no sense to me. Why am I going to forgive somebody who hurt me? Why? What value is there in that? But then I thought about it from the sense of trauma, right? When a person is trauma, their body is trained to respond a certain way to outside stimulus. Forgiveness don't have to be about saying the other person was right. Forgiveness is just a way of retraining your body to reclaim your power, reclaim your sovereignty over your body. You're only required to heal yourselves to heal. Exactly. Healing yourself is the phrase forgiveness to me means healing yourself. That's it. That's right. You got to forgive ourselves. And at the same time, I think that when we say forgiveness, to me, forgiveness means healing yourself. It means learning how to retrain your body so that same stimulus don't have the same effect. And I'm glad that I learned this year that a lot of things that used to trouble me and hurt me, and certain individuals who would trigger me and put me in a negative state of mind and make me feel anxious and small, I don't feel that way anymore. I retrained my body to have a totally different response to the individuals in the past who hurt me. Yeah, it's much easier when a person owns up to it and apologizes. But we know a lot of times when individuals are sick and toxic, there's not going to be any apology. We know that. And the thing about it is, the mistake that I've made quite often is thinking to myself, I'll wait until they apologize before I can move forward. That's what we do, consciously or unconsciously. If you're waiting for somebody else to apologize, you're not moving forward. I'm all about moving forward, with or without somebody. So if I got to move forward without you, that means I got to retrain myself. And to me, that retraining process, that's forgiveness. I still recognize you did wrong. I still recognize that you hurt me. But even though I recognize you did me wrong, I'm going to retrain myself so I'm not going to be dragged down by the negativity anymore. It's not going to hold me back anymore. To me, that's forgiveness. Because ultimately, like you said, we got to forgive ourselves. And that's a major part of it. When somebody hurts us, we get angry at ourselves for allowing that hurt to be there. That's a major part of the healing process. Learning how to forgive yourself and retrain yourself so that those same conditions and those same problems don't hurt you anymore. And that takes a lot of growth. It takes some time. It takes being mindful, but it can be done. It can be done. And a big part of that process of getting that done, ask yourself, whose voice is this? Whose voice is in my head telling me these things? Whose voice is that? And a lot of times you'll actually hear it. You will literally hear negative comments in your mind in someone else's voice. You might not recognize it at first. I didn't recognize it at first. I just had low self-esteem. But over the years, I realized that it was people who I grew up with, people who I worked with, people who I was around, people who I had relationships with. I was always hearing their voices. And I had to relearn myself. The first thing I had to relearn is that I wasn't as confident as I thought I was. Yes, self-forgiveness is very important for trusting the wrong people. You're right. But we can't hold that against ourselves forever. People make mistakes, and sometimes you get blinded, particularly when you're a person who is honest and truthful and you got a good soul. You think everybody's like that. Or you think that the universe is going to guide you to the best places and best situations. And sometimes you have to develop your ability to be discerning so that you won't make those mistakes. Now, another thing that we can do, and this ties into something else that I mentioned, to protect our inner child, listen to your body. Your body remembers things that you can't face. So being around the individual, sometimes your stomach starts to hurt, you start to feel very tired, or you start to feel very tense. You start coming up with excuses not to be around that person. Your body is trying to tell you something because your body has memories of this individual that you might not want to acknowledge. You might be in a relationship with somebody and say, oh, they do so much for me. They're so wonderful. They're so sweet. Then why can't you sit next to that person? Why do you feel uncomfortable when they put their arm around you? Why can't you sleep with that person? A lot of times when a person does something to hurt you, the first thing out the door is the sex. The sex is why aren't you sleeping with that person? If you love this person so much and they did so much for you, why'd you end the sex? Why'd you end the physical contact? Why are you pushing them away? Quite often it's because your body is remembering hurt that you can't face. And it could be hurt from that person. It could be hurt from a previous relationship. It could be fear of intimacy, but your body is letting you know something. That's why being mindful is so important, because being mindful will allow you to build that relationship with your body. Quite often, boom, we're going. And we live in a culture that trains us to ignore our body, right? You're in a culture that teaches us to ignore our body. So when your body feels tired, you say, I got to keep going. Your body says, I'm hungry. When you say to yourself, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to keep going. I got to keep working. I got so much I got to do. Your body tells you you're in pain. Well, you know what? I got to keep pushing. I got to push through the pain, right? Push through the pain. That's an important saying in our culture. No pain, no gain, right? So our culture consciously teaches us to ignore what the body is telling us, unless it's sex. Unless it's sexual, our culture will always teach you, no pain, as Tupac said. Our culture will always teach you to give into your sexual impulses, but it won't tell you to give into the impulses of the body for rest, for sleep, for rejuvenation, for recreation. Your body needs recreation too. When you engage in recreation, your brain produces certain chemicals that helps the body to heal, helps the body to feel rested and rejuvenated. Recreation can actually help you feel young. That's why when you work too much and you're burned out, you look older. I know people who used to work so much and they look old, and they slowed down a little bit. Now they look 10 years younger. Yes, Rita, good point. We live in a culture that teaches us that everything that we need is outside of us. Exactly. And that's why it teaches us ignore the body. Your body's tired, ignore it. Your body doesn't want to be with this person, ignore it. Your body is experiencing a trauma response to this situation, but hey, you're supposed to be in this situation, ignore it. You're supposed to be at work, ignore the fact you're having a panic attack. You're supposed to be happy, it's your wedding day, ignore your anxiety about marrying this person who might be wrong for you. Do what culture teaches you to do and ignore what your body is saying. And we have to learn how to build a positive relationship with our body, because our body knows. That's where the phrase gut feeling come from. I have a gut feeling about this person. What does that mean? It means that this person is triggering a trauma response from you. One of the first things that happens when you have a trauma response is that your body starts to get rid of your appetite, and it starts to reserve all the energy that you have. So what it does is all the energy you have in your body is going to get used to help you fight or run. So it has to get rid of the appetite, right? It has to use all the water in the body so that you could run and survive if you need to. So you won't have as much water for digesting food, right? So you feel it in your gut. Your body tells you immediately, oh, something's wrong here. The three brains, mind, heart, gut. That's true. I like that saying. But we find ourselves in these situations where our body is saying one thing, our body is saying, this is what I need. And we're saying, no, culture is making a different set of demands on us. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about not pushing yourself. Sometimes you got to push yourself. I'm not talking about babying yourself. I'm not talking about keeping yourself from difficult situations. Sometimes going through difficult situations is necessary to grow. And it takes a certain amount of time to develop the wisdom to discern when it's time to go into a situation because you have to grow, or staying away from a situation because your body is telling you that it's something harmful there. And sometimes your body will give you a warning and you need to address what your body is saying and still go into the situation. Sometimes, I've had issues in the past when my body would respond a certain way, and I would have to calm down and ask myself what was going on, and then go right into that situation because my fear of the situation had nothing to do with the situation itself. It had to do with something from the past, had to do with individuals in the past who may have said certain things and done certain things to hurt me, and may have to do with unresolved issues. But quite often, your body would give you some kind of a warning. Exactly. You had to ignore what your body was saying to survive, and that became habitual. And the same with me. I mean, when I was in therapy, my therapist mentioned that to me. I hadn't even thought about that. How there was certain things going on in the household when I was young, and in order for me to not get caught up in a situation, I had to be very acquiescent. I had to be very, very quiet. I had to go along with whatever was happening. And I realized in my adult life, there was a lot of situations I would respond the same way. I would respond the exact same way. Certain things needed to be said, but if I said it, I would cause problems, and I was so afraid of causing problems that I would suppress these things that needed to be said, and I would ignore my body because I was trying to keep the quote unquote peace. But we all know what happens with that. Sooner or later, all this suppression and repression is gonna explode. And I believe that's what happened to me when I first started really having really terrible panic attacks. All the years of me holding back and not speaking because I didn't want to cause problems inevitably just exploded. You either become your body's friend or your body will betray you to survive. I say that one more time. You either become your body's friend and listen to your body, or your body will betray you in order to survive. So you're blocking out what your body is saying. Sooner or later, your body's going to say, you know what? I'm done talking. Just like anybody else. How many times have you been in a situation you trying to explain yourself to somebody, they don't want to listen, they don't want to participate, they don't want to connect with you, they don't want to vibe with you, and you say to yourself, you know what, I'm done talking. Your body will do that too. Yes, and you implode and you get physically sick because your body is trying to communicate. That's why it's best listen to the body. You can't ignore the body the same way you ignore other things in your life. Your body will demand your attention, either by making you feel really, really powerful and positive when you do something good for yourself, or by destroying you. Right? Your body can destroy you. I ended up in a hospital with my panic attacks. I thought I was dying. All the years of me holding back and not addressing certain issues put me in a situation where my body said, okay, I'm done talking, Devin. I've been telling you for a long time how depressed you are. I've been telling you for a long time how much you got to change. You know what, Devin? I'm done talking. Hospital bed it is, my brother. And that happens. So you have to learn how to build a relationship with your body and listen and be mindful. Thank you, Trish. We have to learn how to listen to our bodies and be very, very mindful and pay attention, because quite often our bodies are having responses, but because we're in go mode, we're not listening and paying attention. But being mindful, meditating on a daily basis, that helped me to really start understanding. So sometimes if I find myself getting annoyed and tense, I'll stop and I'll say, okay, release the tension in your shoulders. Take a deep breath. let it out, and then I can function in the situation, or I can avoid the situation if necessary. Right? Something else that we can do to protect our inner children: be the person your inner child needed, and don't get caught in the trap of replication. And by replication, I just mean don't get caught in the trap of becoming the same person as the person who hurt you. Quite often, we replicate. We get hurt, by somebody's words, and then we find ourselves speaking the same way to individuals around us. Somebody belittles us when we're children. Our inner child is hurt, so our inner child grows up and becomes a person who's saying mean things to individuals around them. We replicate. We find ourselves in a situation where we were raised by somebody with a drinking problem. Now we got a drinking problem. We were around individuals in our childhood who abused us and hurt us, and we grow up and we become abusive. Individuals who have sexual trauma when they're young, a high percentage of them will go out into the world and perform acts of sexual trauma on other people. People who grew up in households with the relationships were shaky, then they grow up and they engage in shaky, toxic relationships themselves. We replicate the individuals who hurt us. And we have to acknowledge the fact that our inner child has needs, and one of the ways of helping us deal with those needs, what is block situations out? I get clips every once in a while, like a film clip. You mean like in your memory? Okay, so to be the person that your inner child needs, first you have to understand your inner child and think. And sometimes it's tough because you're going to deal with some old memories. I don't want you to throw yourself into the old memories. Listen to the inner voice, find out whose voice that is, think about the relationship you had with that person, and then think about what that person did and try to develop yourself so you can do the opposite. I was a person who, for years and years and years, I dealt with depression, and I realized that one of the key things to overcoming depression, and I noticed this with a lot of people, with alcoholics, drug addicts, people who survive depression, people with anxiety. Once you stabilize yourself, turn it around, trying to help other people can strengthen you. I know a guy who I talked about him last week, a guy named Ernie. He used to be an alcoholic, in a biker gang, all that kind of stuff, and he ended up becoming a counselor at NA and AA. So he became a sponsor for a lot of people, and he still works in that field to this day. Has a job as a counselor at I think it's at a narcotics clinic or NA clinic or something like that. So when you turn around trying to help other people, that helps you to become the person your inner child needs. And that's when I say become the person that your inner child needs. I mean not only showing kindness and love to others, but doing it to yourself. I quite often will look at myself in the mirror and compliment myself and say nice things to myself because I didn't hear that a lot for big chunks of my life. When I was a kid growing up, I had parents who gave me praise. But then my adolescent years and going through depression and dealing with things, I didn't hear those kind words as often as I would have liked. So I give myself those kind words too. I speak to my inner child and I say, I love you. You're a good person. So proud of you. Now, and of course, there's always that little voice that'll say, "Well, you still got growing to do, still got work to do, you still not good enough." But you got to fight that, and you got to say to yourself, "I love you," and then work on that relationship because you can't trick your brain. If you have issues with self-love, you can't trick your brain, but you can show kindness to yourself and say, "I care for you. Let's get healthy." And then people have this thing where they believe that affirmations can be like these kind of like tools to build yourself up, but we end up lying to ourselves. Like, for instance, if you're not a confident person, we say to ourselves, I am confident, I am strong. We use that affirmation when we meditate. But the brain, on the other hand, the brain is not easily deceived. In some ways, the brain is easily deceived. The brain is a moron in some ways, right? But a lot of times the brain will pick apart a statement that you know is a lie. If you are not confident, saying I am confident won't do it. That's why you have to develop self-efficacy. You have to develop the capacity to get things done. And then you can tell yourself, I'm building my confidence. I'm working on my confidence. And if you have a hard time with self-love, you don't have to say I love myself. You can say I will learn to love myself. You will say I will be kind to myself, because you can do that. I will be kind to myself. I feel like I need some sleep. I'm going to get some sleep, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Last night I worked till 11 o'clock at night. And then, of course, if you work in the evening time, it's hard to go right to sleep when you get off. So I was up till about 2, writing and, making music on my little phone app, which is pretty cool. Finally, I went to sleep. I woke up. Oh, thank you for the donation. Thank you for the donation. Finally, woke up. but it was like 10 o'clock. And I was so mad. I was like, oh man, I wasted the whole day. It's 10 o'clock. I got so much I got to do. But then I thought to myself, okay, you slept 8 hours. I went to bed at, like 2 in the morning, slept till 10. That's 8 hours of sleep. That's normal. Why do I got to beat myself up about that? I can be kind to myself. I needed rest. I got the rest. I'm always pushing myself to go harder, go faster, learn more, study more. Like when I'm in the bathroom, my kids get mad at me. They're like, "How long are you going to be in there?" Because a lot of times I'm in there reading and studying, so I can come here and and teach and do these live streams and stuff. But sometimes, yes, my body tells me, "Look, you need to rest." So I had to develop a positive relationship with my body, but I also had to, be kind to myself. I got to show myself some kindness. So I was being the person that my inner child needed. And it's probably because my inner child was a person who, I used to push myself a lot in school. I felt like I had to do well in school because there was other things going on in my household, and I felt like me doing well in school could bring me positive attention. Right? So there's still a little bit of that I need to heal from. I don't have to push all the time and push so hard all the time. If my body needs sleep, I can sleep and I don't have to feel guilty about it. And if I need affection, I don't have to feel guilty about that neither. And if I need to, eat, I don't have to feel guilty about eating because I want to lose weight. So sometimes I feel like, why am I eating again? I got to remind myself, you only had one meal today. I wake up in the morning, and sometimes I don't eat breakfast. Then I eat like around 11ish, 12ish. Then I get hungry and I'm like, oh, I gotta lose weight. Why am I eating so much? I'm just beating myself up. I'm not being the person my inner child needs. Be the person your inner child needs. Listen to what you need and show yourself kindness and satisfy those needs. Now, of course, I'm not saying be greedy. I'm not saying lie to yourself and overly consume. I'm not saying you should allow yourself to slip into laziness. If there's things that got to get done, try to plan and organize so you can get those things done. But at the same time, it's okay to offer yourself a little kindness, a little patience, a little time. Time is one of the most precious commodities. Give yourself a little bit of time. You don't have to beat yourself up. Be that person that your inner child needed. Maybe your inner child needed a little bit of rest. Maybe your inner child needed some affection. If you're in a relationship with somebody, you have a significant other, and you need affection, you can say that. You can just go up to them and give them a hug. I just need some affection real quick. I need a kiss real quick. Okay, I'll see you later. And you don't have to beat yourself up about it and say, oh my God, I'm so needy. I mean, you have needs. Sometimes you consider it being needy. Sometimes you're just a person with needs, and it's okay. Your inner child has needs, and it's okay to satisfy those needs without being angry at yourself or thinking you failed. Give yourself that love. Give yourself, yes, be the person your inner child needs. Evelyn, yes. Because there was when our inner children were going through pain and trauma, there was something we needed or someone we needed who may not have been there or who may not have been capable of protecting us. So now we can offer ourselves a thing. This is a moment in time where everything you needed you can get now. You can get it now. You don't have to deny yourself anymore. Right? There was no one then, but you can be that someone now. For yourself and for others. That's the cool thing about it. You can transform and become that same light within yourself. You can be that light for others. There's a line in the Soundgarden song, "Fell on Black Days." I'm a searchlight soul, they say. Right? You can be that searchlight soul and give other people that light once you build that light up within yourself. And don't use trying to build the light up within yourself as a lot of times we know that there's positive things we can do, so we just transform those positive things into new ways to torture ourselves. I don't want you guys to do that. That's a trap that I fall into plenty of times, where I say to myself, I should work hard for other people because if I'm a light to them, I can provide happiness and help myself become stronger. But then you start pushing so hard, you burn yourself out because you want to use that as another way to say you're not working hard enough. You're not good enough. So don't fall into that trap. But yes, let your light shine and nurture that light, nurture that fire. And tell yourself, yes, I'm good. I'm a good person. I'm good enough. I love myself. I feel so powerful. I feel so free. And there's this thing they call havening. When you do this, you just wrap your arms around yourself and just rub your arms. You're giving yourself an embrace, and that's something that a lot of people who are traumatized and they feel out of control of their emotions, give yourself a nice tight hug. You're giving yourself the love you need at that moment. Be that person that you need. Because sometimes, yes, in life, things are going to be harsh and cruel, and you might not have learned how to build those bridges between yourself and other people and build those connections up. Sometimes you got to give yourself that love to empower you so you can build those relationships with other positive people. And for individuals who were not there in your life, learn how to see beyond what you didn't have and teach yourself how to give it to yourself. That's important, right? Be the person that you needed back then. Something else we can do to protect our inner children. Celebrate yourself. And I'm going to choose my words carefully here because this is another one of those things that can be misinterpreted. Celebrate yourself. And celebrate yourself for whatever you can accomplish that day. If you have really bad anxiety, and yeah, Havening works well for panic attacks. And you know what else I used to do when I had panic attacks? Timer. A timer works because your body can metabolize all that adrenaline and cortisol. It can metabolize it in 10 minutes. So I would use a timer. Just put 10 minutes on a timer and just sit there and try to keep my mind off of what my body was experiencing. And over 10 minutes time, boom, the panic attack goes away. That worked for me too. But like I was saying, quite often as children, we don't get celebrated. A lot of kids, like I was working with this one kid, and he was having a really rough day, and it was late. It was time for me to go. I didn't want to go because I wanted to help this kid out. And I said to him, I care about you. I don't want you to make any bad decisions that are going to, mess up your future or put you in a tough situation later on. And he said, oh, yeah, right. You don't care about me. I said, of course I care about you. You think I would be here? My shift ended at 11. It was like 12:30. I said, you think I want to be here at 12:30 at night? I got a wife and kids at home. Of course I care about you. He said, okay, well, how can you care about me and you just met me and nobody in my life has ever said that to me before? And I almost cried when he said that. I'm like, yo, this kid is like 15, I think he was at the time. And I'm like, he never had anybody tell him that they cared about him. That's powerful right there. He never had anybody ever celebrate him. And many of us have not had anybody ever celebrate us. Now, of course, I believe you should strive for greatness. Of course, I believe you should build yourself up. Of course, I believe you should have accomplishments. But you should also celebrate yourself. Yes, celebrate yourself as you make your journey. Because you're going to hit milestones. You're going to get better. You're going to improve. And based upon your situation, you might take a small step, and that might be a reason to celebrate. Life, what's going on? Dr. Faith, how you doing? Quite often, we need to celebrate ourselves and say you did a good job. For somebody who's having panic attacks and severe anxiety, for you to get up, take a shower, get dressed, and go to work, that might be a big accomplishment for you that day. If you have intimacy issues, you might hold somebody's hand, and that might be a big step for you. Celebrate yourself. Hi, Dr. Faith. Celebrate yourself. How often have we heard you did a really good job? How often have we heard, I really care about you? How often have we heard, you know what? You blew my mind. How often have we heard, you know what? You're an inspiration to me. We don't hear that enough. We don't hear it enough because we live in a culture where it's a celebrity culture. If you're not a famous celebrity, people will hesitate to give you that love and give you that appreciation. But I'm trying my best to really learn how to appreciate when anybody does anything for me. And I try my best to always come across as being a grateful person. I celebrate when people do things for me. I celebrate people's greatness. I have friends of mine. I text them out the blue. You know what? I really appreciate the fact that you, like my boy Quinn. I got a friend, my boy Quinn. He's a comedian. And I think about all the things he's been through in life and all the stuff that and I'll text him out the blue sometimes, like, yo, I just watched what you did. I watched your stand-up set on Instagram. You know what? You funny, man. You got way funnier. Just give him that praise. Celebrate him. He might not be the biggest celebrity in the world. He might not be Dave Chappelle. But guess what? He made so much progress and growth. He should be celebrated. And you should be celebrated too. You should be celebrated too. You should be celebrated too. Why shouldn't you be celebrated for all the good that you've done in this world? People will tear you down instantaneously the second you make a mistake. You do something good, all of a sudden, nobody got nothing to say. Celebrate yourself. I'm going to celebrate you too. I'm going to celebrate everybody on Insight Timer, everybody on Instagram, everybody on YouTube. I'm going to celebrate y'all. Let's celebrate each other. Let's celebrate ourselves. I was able to get up today If you have bad anxiety, I was able to get up today, get dressed, go outside, and just enjoy the sun, just enjoy the sunlight in a moment of peace. You know what? I'm gonna celebrate that. I'm glad I did that. If you are a writer, you have writer's block. Okay, you know what? I sat down at the computer today and I wrote 2 whole pages. I'm gonna celebrate that. Why not? You know, I had an argument with somebody. You celebrate me, Dr. Faith. Thank you. I celebrate you too. 100%. You may have had an argument with a loved one. And then sometimes you might have to go back and tell that person, you know what? I'm sorry for what I said. Sorry for the argument. You do so much for me. I want to celebrate you. I want to celebrate this bond with you. Why not? We should be in a constant state of celebrating ourselves and a constant state of celebrating each other. Because you don't know what the other person's exactly, Dr. Faith. Celebrate yourself too. We don't know the other person's struggle. We don't know what the other person has gone through or overcome. And so many of us are dealing with trauma. You look at somebody's eyes, salute them. And if they do something that you appreciate, let them know you appreciate it. They do something that amazes you and blows your mind and express themselves in a way that's clear. They're great artists. You know, I'm very fortunate. All my friends are geniuses. All my friends are artistic geniuses. All my friends are writers. They're artists. They do music production. They write films. All my friends are geniuses. So I'm constantly celebrating my boys. Constantly celebrating the sisters that I know. Everybody I know is so positive. I gotta celebrate. Positive energy and light. Thank you. I appreciate that. So celebrate yourself. Today I did it. Today I accomplished that goal. Today I said I was going to do something and I actually went and did it. Today I wanted to work out and I worked out today. I was only able to do 15 minutes, but it was a good 15 minutes. Tomorrow I'm going to do 17 minutes. Celebrate yourself when you make those steps. Don't forget that. Because we forget that all the time. We so busy thinking about what we don't have and who we're not. We look at these celebrities and we think I should be like him or I should be like her. We don't appreciate the fact that we're making steps and strides ourselves. And eventually, over time, enough consistency, we're going to become what we want to become. But you got to celebrate yourself because you're going to need that energy boost when you're dealing with obstacles and you're dealing with hard times. And especially if you're a person who's overcoming trauma, celebrate yourself when you do what got to get done. Now, this is the trap. Celebrate yourself does not mean give in to temptation. I want you to celebrate yourself, your accomplishments. That does not mean get drunk. I went to work today. Time to celebrate myself with a fifth of whiskey. Is not what I mean. I was able to sit down and get a song done and write a song with my guitar. That's wonderful. Time to pop a pill. I did a really good job not cheating on my wife. I'm going to go home and text my girlfriend and let her know I'll be by tomorrow. This is not what we're talking about. We want you to celebrate yourself when you do positive things, but at the same time, celebrating yourself does not give you an excuse to destroy yourself. I'll say that again. Celebrating yourself does not give you an excuse to go and destroy yourself. I am not saying celebrate yourself in the sense of using any drugs or intoxicants. I'm not saying celebrate yourself in the sense of letting loose and throwing your morals out the window. I'm not saying celebrate yourself and tell your kids, I'm not picking you up today. Daddy's going to celebrate himself. I'm going to the bar with the fellas. I'm going to drop you off at your mama's house. And today, daddy's going to get smashed. That's not the celebration of self that I want you to engage in. Don't fall into that trap. Another thing you can do to protect your inner child, express your needs and concerns. Quite often, I found myself in situations where I would need certain things and not tell anybody. I would want certain things and not say anything. Because, of course, when you grow up with low self-esteem, you feel like you're not worthy. You feel like you don't deserve anything anyway. So you take what you can get. And I realized as I got older, a lot of situations could have been avoided if I had just said, you know what, this is what I need. I could have avoided so many painful situations if I had just protected my inner child by just saying, hey, I need this. My inner child has a need. I can express that need and I can get that need fulfilled. In many instances, my needs could have been fulfilled if I had just said something. I need you to stop saying that. I need you to stop talking to me like that. I need you to show me some kindness. I need some affection. If I had just said those things, so much could have been avoided. If I could have just said, yo, I really care about you, and spend more time with you, that could have saved me years of problems. If I had just opened my mouth and said what my inner child needed me to say. Your inner child needs an advocate, like a real child. If I'm with my sons and somebody says something hurtful to my sons or does something hurtful to my sons, I'm checking that. Off rip, I'm checking it. If somebody's playing a little too rough and bump into my little skinny son, my oldest son is a little skinny little thing, and he's real quiet. So if somebody bump into him, he'll stand up for himself and speak up for himself. But sometimes, sometimes he won't. He'll speak up for himself, but he'll do it quietly. So I gotta advocate for him. Like, yo, excuse me, little man, you just bumped into my son. You chill. Before I gotta smack your daddy for not controlling you, right? So your inner child needs an advocate too, and sometimes you gotta fight hard for your inner child. Just like I will fight hard for my sons, I'm fighting hard for my inner child now too. And my inner child is gonna let you know, listen, I'm not comfortable with this. My inner child is gonna let you know I need a little bit more time to rest. My inner child will let you know, you know what, I need more time for me. My inner child is gonna let you know I'm working on a project. I wanna get this project done. I'm falling back. I'm gonna fall back from doing things for y'all because I need time for what I'm working on. And a lot of stress, a lot of problems would have been avoided if I had just said those things. Your inner child needs you to speak up and advocate. Advocate for your inner child. That's okay. And put it to you, I'm gonna put it to you all like this. Quite often I kept my mouth shut because I thought it would create problems, or I thought that other people would walk out of my life. If I'm with somebody and I tell you what I need and you walk out of my life because of it, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Letting certain people go is a blessing. If I tell you, listen, I need this, and you really care about me. Now, if it's something negative, of course, I expect you to say no. But if it's something positive that I genuinely need and you can't come through, then you know what? We don't need to spend no time together no more. We're good. We good. And the same thing with y'all. I want y'all to advocate for your inner children. If somebody's toxic, get them out of your life. Somebody's hurtful, get them out your life. Somebody's not listening, just like a child. Children get hurt when they're not being listened to. Somebody's not listening to you express your needs, they gotta go. That's you're abusing your inner child. You're allowing your inner child to be abused. I would never allow my children to be abused, so I'm not gonna allow my inner child to be abused either. My inner child been through enough. It's time for Big Daddy to step up and protect the baby on the inside. And then eventually your inner child is gonna grow and mature. And that inner child really is a symbol of your lost innocence. That's what your inner child is. It's a symbol of your lost innocence, and it's time for you to defend that innocence and take it back. Defend your inner child. Speak up and advocate for your inner child and express how you feel. And quite often, your inner child grows and feels more powerful when you do that. Even if things don't go your way, guess what? Your inner child, like any child, would rather see you stick up for them and fight the good fight and lose defending them than to see you give up. Evelyn, and we all do that quite often. We do it in our workplace, we do it in our relationships, we do it in our friendships sometimes. My inner child ain't gonna be hurt no more. If I can fight back, I'm fighting back. And the last thing I want to say, a good way we can defend our inner child, what we can do, be great. Be great. Maximize your potential. You know that anything is possible. Quite a lot of us believe in God. You believe in God, then that's what God is. God is the knowledge that anything's possible. That's what God is. God is the evidence and proof that anything's possible. So if you believe in God, you should never believe that you can't achieve something or gain something. I was just watching something on TV about Elon Musk and what's that guy's name? Branson. What's his name? Richard Branson. These dudes going to space, and they're not astronauts or nothing. And there's another guy who he dropped out of high school, started his own business, became a millionaire, and he's like a thrill seeker now. And he's going to space. He ain't got no diploma. So be great. That's a fantastic way to protect your inner child by maximizing your potential, because your inner child is your childhood trauma personified, but your inner child is also the potential in your innocence. Tap into that potential and watch your inner child blossom. And a lot of that pain is going to start to ease. And those wounds are going to start to heal when you maximize your potential and you are determined to show yourself anything is possible and I can be great. There's a lot of individuals who achieve greatness, but they still haven't healed. But guess what? They improve in the struggle and in the journey to tap into their potential and maximize that potential, and they become great. Guess what? A lot of that inner work is done as you make that journey, and you still might become great and still might be whatever and achieve all your dreams and still have work to do. But guess what? A lot of that work is done in the process of you growing and becoming great. A lot of that shadow work, a lot of that inner work is done because in order to become great, you got to heal those wounds. In order for you to become very, very successful, if you have intimacy issues, well, guess what? You're going to have to get over those in order to become successful, because a lot of success has to deal with building relationships and networking. You have low self-esteem. Well, guess what? As you're building yourself up and developing self-efficacy, you're going to achieve levels of success, and that's going to help heal those wounds of having low self-esteem. When you look at yourself and say, look what I've achieved, that's going to help build up your self-esteem. When you have that little voice in the back of your head that's always doubting you, and you're able to see what you can do, that voice becomes quieter. The evidence is too strong for that voice to keep running his mouth. You shut that voice up real fast when you tap into your greatness. When you show everybody how great you are and you tap into your true self, all the voices in your mind that are not your true self, they get turned down or silenced, or you don't hear them anymore. I don't hear them little voices in the back of my mind from people in my past telling me I can't and I won't and I shouldn't, that I'm not good enough. I'm a person who is continuously moving, continuously growing. I put the work in. And of course, I want to do even more and achieve even more. But guess what? As I'm putting the work in, that little voice is not telling me I can't do it no more. There are certain things I wanted to do that I did. Published a book. Did it. All the stuff I'm looking at my little workspace right now. It's a mess right now. But last year I was broke and I was like, man, I need a new computer. I need a camera. I need this. I need that. Right? And this year I got all of that stuff. I have all that stuff now. I achieved these things. So that little voice in the back of my head that used to tell me, oh, you ain't good enough. Oh, that's not going to work. So-and-so is not going to like that. That voice, I don't even hear that voice no more. I'm looking every time I sit at this desk and put my butt in this chair and look at this new computer and look at this tablet and look at the lighting that I got and the phone that I'm using to record this and the new microphone I got. I'm seeing proof and evidence that I'm good enough. Proof and evidence that I can achieve these things. And that means anything is possible. If I achieve these things and make these things materialize out of thin air, then guess what? I can do more. And you can too. Absolutely you can. So I'm about to wrap up. That was almost an hour straight of me talking at the top of my lungs. My voice is getting a little raspy, which is good. I like my voice to sound raspy. I don't like my speaking voice. It sounds too nerdy. But before I go, I just want to say peace and blessings to everybody. I want to say I care about y'all. I love y'all. I know y'all could do anything. I have faith in you. And I want to see y'all back here next week. I'm going to be going live more on my other social media platforms. But next week I'll see you guys on Insight Timer here. And I'm gonna try to come up with another topic that you guys are gonna like. So if you guys have anything you want to discuss, anything that you might need, don't hesitate to let me know. And peace and blessings to all of y'all. Thank you very much for the donations. And I will see y'all. Insight Timer, I'll see y'all next week. Instagram, YouTube, I'll see you during the week. Oh, I said the line I gave my son, I said, I'm stronger than fear. I said, I'm stronger than fear. And I find him whispering that every now and again. All right, guys. Insight Timer. Good night. Peace and blessings. Instagram. Good night.